we can be very limited in how we're treating our pets. And the thing that I really like about acupuncture is that it opens that doorway to other possibilities. And it allows you to be very creative because there isn't necessarily one correct way of practicing acupuncture. There are definitely different things that you're not supposed to do that are like kind of like duh, but kind of like common sense. But other than that, there's a lot of flexibility and creativity on even how to treat a patient. And I really like the fact that it's not something that can replace Western medicine, but it is something that I believe is a great addition to Western medicine. And that's why I consider myself somebody who practices integrative medicine. I don't consider myself a holistic or alternative uh, veterinarian. I consider myself an integrative medicine specialist. And I kind of think of acupuncture as like having that extra tool in the toolbox that you don't always use, but when you do, you're very happy to have it. Um, on a personal note, I have really enjoyed acupuncture as a part of self care. I had a pregnancy that was a little tough, and the acupuncture helped with lower back pain, round ligament pain. The mothers who are listening to this are going to know what I'm talking about. And I even have my dad who is a prostate cancer survivor, and he had a very tough recovery afterwards. And the acupuncture helped with his pain management, it helped with his nausea, it helped with so many different things that it really eased his recovery and it made his recovery time shorter. So there are a lot of different things that acupuncture can do. Even for myself, it's very relaxing. I know people who do it, and it was the only treatment for their insomnia, or GI issues. It's a very wide range of things that you can do, not only for your pets but for yourself. And even if it's just like treating yourself, just relaxing, allowing yourself to have those 1 to 2 hours to yourself of just relaxing your mind, taking a nap, getting treated, getting rebalanced is definitely worth it. I tell all of my clients, if you're going to consider doing acupuncture for your dog, I highly recommend that you get it for yourself so that you have an idea of what your dog is, or cat, or horse or bird is about to experience.
Perfect. Now, I'd love to dive into some of the specific treatments in just a moment. But before I do, why do you think acupuncture is something that's not really taught in veterinarian school and not really talked about among the pet parent community as well?
Acupuncture, because of its root in Eastern medicine, I think that that is probably the biggest hurdle when it comes to wide range acceptance. Acupuncture, and just to learn about it, you're learning about the history of it, you're learning a lot of the different terminology, and you're learning a very, very different way of thinking that is taught in Western medicine. And even the concept of chi, uh, and people have heard that term, especially if you're watching a lot of like kung fu martial arts movies and things like that. The whole concept of chi is definitely intertwined with acupuncture. And like I said, there isn't necessarily one specific way on how to treat a patient when using acupuncture. It allows for a lot of creativity, a lot of flexibility. So I think that because it's not very rigid, it's a very abstract, almost poetic way of describing mm, diagnoses, um, uh, and how you're even looking at the body, the animal body, in a very different way. I think that that is hard for a lot of people who are very matter of fact. They need to know A, B, and C. They want the research behind it. They want all of this evidence based information. And unfortunately, the research is catching up to acupuncture. If you do like a PubMed search, which is the like Google for scholarly articles for research articles, you can now find probably 10 to 15,000 research articles specifically on acupuncture from around the world. And because many of those may not be in America or American based, it's not, looked at as valid of research, which is also very, discriminatory in its own right. But I think that all those different things really keep a lot of veterinarians, especially in America, it has that roadblock. And you have to be open to other possibilities and saying, if people were doing this and treating animals and humans using this type of medicine for thousands of years and they were coming out all right. I think you can't completely discredit it because you don't have a research study that looks exactly the way you want it right now. And then another thing is that a lot of pet parents don't realize that that option exists. And so a lot of times my job is to just educate, even if it means you not a pet parent, not necessarily um, deciding to do acupuncture. It's to educate them on the options that they have available. Because at the end of the day, I don't have the final say. I want the pet parent to be as well educated as they possibly can so that they feel very involved throughout the treatment process and they're also comfortable throughout the treatment process, because the last thing I also want is for something to happen and the pet we have now reached the end of that pet's life and then they feel like, oh, I didn't know about this, I could have done more, I did not do enough, did I fail my pet? And that's the last thing that I want for any type of case that I have.
Yeah, absolutely. Beautifully said, and totally agree with you there as well. And that's a big reason why we started doing events like this, is because we feel like the educational component could be, more widespread to give pet parents a better understanding of what is available, and then they can make their own decisions and be very confident in that is the right decision for them. So
Mhm.
yeah, we appreciate people like yourself who are sharing their expertise and getting this really important information out there. So I'd love to, Dr. Aziza, I'd love to dive into now some of the specifics around when we would use acupuncture. So, in different types of treatments and that type of stuff. So if you could
Yeah.
talk to us about that.
Acupuncture has a lot of great uses and it treats surprisingly, a very wide range of types of diseases. So, for instance, if I have a pet that is having these skin issues, all of a sudden they're getting red skin quite a bit, or only in certain areas. Their body just seems to run hot all the time. I can come in and assess the patient and do some acupuncture using certain points that are heat clearing, and it helps to clear excess heat from the body. And you can, even for ear infections, for dogs that their owners will notice, you know what, it hasn't started to stink yet, but it looks like it's about to. The ears are really red, the ears feel hot. I'll put some needles in and I'll purposely ask the pet parent to touch the ear before I start and then touch the ear afterwards. And they are amazed at the significant difference in just the temperature of the ear. And a lot of times that heat is a sign of the inflammation that might be coming. And so I'm helping to clear that inflammation so that the inflammation doesn't transform into an active ear infection. Another thing that I use acupuncture for a lot is GI cases. So things like constipation, diarrhea, fecal incontinence. So an older dog that just is like walking and just like poop is just falling out. I use acupuncture a lot for that. I had one client or one patient who was having fecal incontinence episodes upwards of 4 times a day. it was really bad. And I started treating her once a day, and we got her down to 2 episodes a week. So it's a drastic difference. And of course, the owner, the pet parent wanted it to be zero, but she was extremely happy with instead of doing four times a day to 1 to 2 times a week.